What if I told you that in just two simple observations, you could see through anyone, strip away their mask, expose their true nature, and uncover their hidden intentions? No guessing, no manipulation, just pure psychological truth. Most people craft an illusion. They smile, they shake hands, they say the right things. But beneath that carefully curated facade, subtle cracks reveal who they truly are. And once you recognize these cracks, you'll never look at people the same way again. The first test? Watch how they treat those who can do nothing for them. If you want to see someone's true character, observe their behavior toward those with no status, no influence, and nothing to offer. Waiters, janitors, cashiers, strangers on the street. A person who is only kind when there's something to gain isn't kind at all. They're calculated. Do they dismiss, belittle, or outright ignore those they see as beneath them? That's the mask slipping. One of the purest tests of integrity is how a person treats those who have no power over them. Psychologists call it the waiter rule, the idea that someone's real nature is exposed in moments where they have no incentive to be kind, and studies confirm it. Those with high emotional intelligence and strong moral character treat everyone with respect, regardless of status. Here are the hidden red flags you need to look for. Do they acknowledge the people who serve them? If they never say thank you to a cashier or look a receptionist in the eye, it's not forgetfulness. It's a belief that those people don't matter. Do they act differently when someone is watching? If they're polite in public but condescending in private, their kindness is nothing but an act. How do they react to mistakes? Do they mock, belittle, or get irrationally angry? People who can't tolerate imperfections in others often lack emotional maturity themselves. Do they exploit those who can't fight back, borrow money and never return it, take advantage of kindness, knowing the other person won't push back? If someone only respects those they fear or admire, their kindness is transactional, not genuine. And here's the harsh truth. If you're in a relationship, a friendship, or even a business partnership with someone like this, prepare yourself. The moment they no longer need you, their behavior will shift. You're only valuable to them as long as you serve a purpose. Still not convinced? Let's put it to the test. The restaurant. Test. You're on a date. They're charming, funny, perfectly polite to you. But then the waiter takes a little too long, and suddenly their demeanor shifts. They snap, they scoff, they barely acknowledge the server. That single moment tells you everything about their real nature. The workplace test. They shower the boss with respect, but when it comes to the cleaning staff, they're dismissive, rude, indifferent. That's not a good person. That's a power-driven opportunist. The everyday test. They treat their friends with warmth, but when they see a stranger struggling with groceries, they don't even blink. They only offer kindness when there's something to gain. Carl Jung's work on the shadow self suggests that these behaviors stem from deep-seated insecurities and a need for dominance. A person who respects only those they fear or admire is hiding a darker side, one that emerges the moment they think there are no consequences. But here's the kicker. There's one more thing, one final observation, that reveals even deeper truths. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Stay with me. The second test? Watch how they act when they have power. The real test of character isn't how someone behaves when life is easy. It's how they act when they hold control. Give a person authority, money, or influence, and you'll see their true nature unfold. Do they use their power to uplift others? Or does it twist them into something arrogant, manipulative, even cruel? Here's a hard truth. Power doesn't change people. It exposes them. If you truly want to understand someone, watch how they behave when they no longer have to pretend. When fear of consequences fades, when the pressure to impress disappears, what remains? That is their real self. Power isn't just about rank or wealth. It can be control over resources, influence over people, or simply dominance in a situation. And the moment someone gains it, the mask begins to slip. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and the findings are disturbing. UC Berkeley researcher Dasher Keltner discovered something shocking. When people gain power, they often become less empathetic, more impulsive, and more willing to bend or break ethical rules. This is what he calls the power paradox, the idea that people often rise to power because of qualities like kindness and empathy. Yet once they attain power, those very traits begin to erode. Why? Because power rewires the brain. Neuroscientific studies show that people in power experience reduced activity in the mirror neuron system, the part of the brain responsible for empathy. In simple terms, they literally start caring less about others. People stop being individuals to them and become tools, stepping stones to be used, discarded, or manipulated. And if you think this only happens to the corrupt or the cruel, think again. This shift happens subtly, often without the person even realizing it. But power doesn't just reveal character in theory, it does so in real life, in ways that are impossible to ignore. Let's look at the moments where power truly exposes who someone is. The workplace test. Power exposes, it doesn't transform. Picture this. You have a colleague, someone who's always been friendly, supportive, a team player, but then they get promoted. And suddenly something shifts. They stop acknowledging you in the hallway. Their tone turns cold. They start micromanaging your work, dismissing your ideas in meetings, treating you like an afterthought. What happened? Did the promotion change them? No, it just revealed them. This isn't about the job title, it's about power. The moment they gained control, the mask slipped. They no longer needed to pretend. This is who they were all along. But here's the contrast. Someone with true character, they don't let authority corrupt them. They lead with respect, not intimidation. They uplift, empower, and support, because that's their real nature, with or without power. The relationship test, the most subtle power play. Power doesn't just shape careers, it infiltrates relationships, romantic, family, friendships. It's everywhere. Ever noticed how some people change when they know you need them? A friend who once treated you with warmth now speaks down to you the moment they feel superior. A romantic partner who once adored you suddenly becomes controlling the second they realize you love them more. This isn't coincidence, it's a shift in power dynamics. The uncomfortable truth? If someone is only kind when they need you, but turns cold the moment they feel in control, that's not love, friendship, or loyalty. That's leverage. And it's a red flag you can't afford to ignore. But a person of true integrity, their kindness isn't conditional. Their respect doesn't fluctuate with control. Whether they hold the upper hand or not, they remain the same. And that's the difference between someone you can trust and someone you must walk away from. The social status test. Power doesn't corrupt, it exposes. Fame, wealth, recognition. Some people handle success with grace. Others let it strip away their humility. Have you ever seen someone change the moment they get a taste of status? They used to be down to earth, approachable. But the moment they step into the spotlight, they start treating others like they're beneath them. That's not transformation. That's unmasking. Carl Jung argued that power doesn't create character. It reveals it. When someone no longer needs approval, when they feel untouchable, their raw, unfiltered self emerges. And if that self is arrogant, selfish, or cruel, it was always there. Power simply removed the filter. So pay attention. Who someone becomes when they gain power, at work, in relationships, in society, is who they were all along. You're just seeing them clearly for the first time. The historical test, power and corruption. History is littered with men who rose as heroes, only to fall as tyrants, revolutionaries who swore to fight injustice, only to become worse than the very systems they overthrew, kings who promised freedom, only to tighten their grip the moment they seized control, Time and time again, power strips away the illusion, revealing the truth. Their fight was never about justice. It was about dominance. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." And history proves him right. Carl Jung took this idea even further. He argued that power doesn't change a person, it unmasks them. The potential for cruelty, for corruption, was always there, buried beneath the need for approval, hidden under the weight of consequences. But once those restraints are gone, once they hold absolute power, their true nature emerges. Yet not everyone is corrupted. Some rise above it. And the question is, why? What separates the corrupt from the unshaken? Power reveals who you are, but what determines whether you will succumb to it or rise above it? 3 things. 1. Self-awareness. Those who understand their own weaknesses are less likely to be consumed by them. A person who has confronted their shadow self, the hidden part of their psyche Jung spoke of, is better equipped to resist the temptations of power. 2. Strong values. If someone is guided by virtue, integrity, and fairness, power will not twist them into something monstrous. To them, power is not a weapon, it's a responsibility. 3. Accountability. The most dangerous leaders, the most corrupt figures in history, all had one thing in common: no one to hold them accountable. If you surround yourself with people who only agree with you, you create an echo chamber of unchecked ego. True strength is found in those who welcome opposition, who allow themselves to be questioned, who do not fear being challenged. The hardest question of all. It's easy to sit back and judge others, to point at history, at corrupt leaders, at people who let power consume them. But here's a more uncomfortable question. What does your power say about you? How do you act when you have the upper hand? Do you treat people differently when you hold the advantage? Is your kindness a principle or just a strategy? Would you still be the same person if no one was watching? The way you answer those questions, that is your true character. If you're dealing with someone like this, here's how to protect yourself. The first step? Face the truth. Stop making excuses for them. Stop hoping they'll change. People like this don't wake up one day and suddenly develop integrity. Once you accept that, here's how to protect yourself. 1. Distance yourself, emotionally and strategically. If cutting them off completely isn't an option, start by creating emotional distance. Stop oversharing. Keep your vulnerabilities to yourself. Because if they ever need a weapon against you, your weaknesses will be the first thing they use. 2. Test their character early. Before you trust someone, observe. Watch how they treat people who can't offer them anything. Watch what they do when they think no one's watching. That moment will tell you everything you need to know. 3. Set unbreakable boundaries. People like this will push your limits. They'll guilt trip, manipulate, and gaslight you into doing what benefits them. Don't fall for it. If they cross the line, reinforce it. If they make rude comments, shut it down. I don't engage in conversations that put me down. If they guilt trip you, hold firm. I understand you're upset, but my decision stands. No debates, no explanations, just boundaries they can't bend. 4. Don't waste time trying to fix them. How many years have people wasted waiting for someone to finally change? Here's the harsh truth. If they wanted to, they already would have. Instead of clinging to potential, invest in people who already treat you with respect. 5. Stay in control of your own life. These people thrive on making others dependent on them, emotionally, financially, mentally. Don't give them that power. Build a support system outside of them. If they're a boss, start planning your exit. If they're family, create a strategy to reduce their influence over your decisions. 6. Watch how they handle conflict. When things don't go their way, do they lash out, play the victim, seek revenge? That's not just immaturity. It's a deep-rooted red flag. 7. Trust actions, not excuses. Carl Jung once said that we ignore the truth because it's uncomfortable, but the longer you look away, the deeper their impact on you becomes. If someone acts entitled, belittles others, or suddenly becomes arrogant the moment they gain an advantage, believe it, that's who they are. If they repeatedly disrespect, manipulate, or use you, it's time to step back. Now, the real question, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you start paying attention? Will you watch how people treat those who can't offer them anything? Will you notice how they act when they hold power? Because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. This awareness is your greatest weapon. The moment you start seeing people for who they truly are, not who they pretend to be, you gain an undeniable advantage. You protect yourself from deception. You build stronger, more meaningful relationships. And most importantly, you surround yourself with people of integrity. But this awareness isn't just about others, it's about you. Because if you want to recognize true character in those around you, you have to be brave enough to examine your own. How do you treat those beneath you? How do you act when given power? True growth begins with self-awareness. So ask yourself, if someone were watching you through this same lens, what would they see? Would they see integrity, or would they see something else? Now, it's your turn to look deeper. If this video opened your eyes, don't let it stop here. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more insights into human psychology, self-mastery, and the truths most people ignore. And now, I want to hear from you. What's one behavior you've witnessed that exposed someone's true nature? Drop it in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. Thanks for watching. And remember, character isn't what we say, it's what we do when no one's watching.